You are listening to the podcast To Be Single or Not to Be by Shaanah Montanna, a podcast where we talk about the single life, dating, and relationships so you can make a decision at the end of each episode and decide to be single or not to be. That is the final question.
Hello, beautiful. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great today. How are you?
I'm really excited today, and we are here for the season 4 finale.
The season 4
of
finale.
To Be Single or Not to Be podcast.
Can you believe it?
And it's so exciting.
It is.
How does that feel for you?
It feels great. The other day, somebody mentioned to me, that I had reached, well, not the other day, this was like a couple months ago, that I had reached like 100 episodes. And I'm like, who would think? I started this thing like in my bedroom, literally on my cell phone, because I had something to say. And for us to now be at the finale of the 4th season, I'm just so proud of myself and just so glad that I get to share this message that I do with the people every single Monday.
Absolutely. That's so amazing. I'm so excited to be here too because I've had the pleasure to be on the podcast.
Yes.
And also on some Instagram lives.
Yes.
We have put up on Instagram
Always.
And so for the people that do not know me, I'm Courtney Arlesia. But today I get to interview you.
Yeah, the tell-all.
The
one
night
only.
One night only. Oh, so I'm gonna get some real good questions about you. Figure the people the tea.
Mighty God.
So go ahead and tell people about who you are.
Okay, who is Shaanah Montanna? Well, for those that may not know, my real name is Shaanah Worlds, and my alter ego is Shaanah Montanna, and I am the founder and creator of the podcast To Be Single or Not to Be. And one of my passions and goals while I'm here on earth is just to spread the message of happy and healthy relationships, because I think it's a lot of people walking around like zombies, just clocking in and out, saying they in love, saying they in a relationship, and they're really not. And I'm here to just give you the tools, the resources, and the education to do better, because you can do better when you know better.
Okay. Okay, so let's talk about passion. So you mentioned passion.
Yes.
How did you get, and you're very a passionate person. Very passionate about healthy relationships.
Healthy, yes.
So how did you start to be single or not to be?
Well, I started when I had what I like to call my own relationship awakening, because I went through my share of, I would just say, unhealthy relationships, situationships, relationships, just a lot of stuff that was not all the men. It was me too, because I had to show up for the job. I was clocking in like a zombie back then. And so I went through the last situationship that I went through. And I got to this place with my type A personality, Virgo, where at that point, I don't think I was really ready to take 100% accountability. So I'm like, I know part of the problem got to be this Negro. So let me do some research. So of course I got online and literally was typing in the different traits and things that I was going through with this person. And I started to come around what are now buzzwords, but back in 2019, when I started this show, things like narcissists, I knew about it in the context of like ego, but I didn't know about it in the context of a relationship. Words like emotionally unavailable. Had never really heard of that in regards to a relationship. So I was coming across all these things that were like helping me to identify, these are the types of people that you are dealing with, and these are the types of people that you cannot be in relationship with, because they are not healthy for you. They are not your people. That is not your tribe. So you need to leave these men alone. And so when I had that awakening, it got to the point where I was like telling friends and family, girl, have you ever heard of a narcissist? Have you ever heard of an emotionally unavailable man? And something like, no, but I'm still like, I'm getting all this knowledge and I just wanted to share it with somebody, because I'm like, if I'm learning this and now Shaanah knows better, so she about to start doing better, I need for all my people to start doing better. So I was like, what other way to get my voice out there than a podcast? And I had been thinking about doing a podcast anyway, but I didn't know exactly what lane I wanted to be in. And just a little tip for the podcast is, if you do a show, make sure you got something you can talk about for a very long time. And we know when it comes to relationships, men, women, cat, dog, mama, daddy, everybody love talking about relationships, whether it's good or bad. It's never going out of style. So when I got to that point where I knew what lane I wanted to be in, I had an opinion about a lot of things. And I did like a test episode where I think it was titled, "Why Are So Many Sisters So Single?" And so I just put it out there, like just real organically, didn't tell anybody, got hella feedback. people, like a lot of people had a lot to say about that. Like, I know why you bitches single, but you know, so, but
Everybody always got
right,
something to
I always
say.
got something to say. So I'm like, all right, I'm on to something. And then the other part of that was I listen to a lot of podcasts, but if your voice is like annoying to me, I won't listen. Like, so
I cannot stand. Everybody don't need a podcast.
they don't really. So I realized like I like my voice. People were telling me that they like my voice. I have something to say, and to be single or not to be was born, and here we are.
I love it. And so one of my favorite jokes with you, I always tell you that you need to be a therapist because you really be out here spitting gems. And I know that you are really sharing based on your own personal experiences and the things that you've learned.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the knowledge for me.
Yes,
and so if people are just now catching on, they need to go back 4 seasons ago and work their way up because you have been dropping jewels. Okay.
Yeah, I try to.
Just want to give you your flowers while
Thank
I'm sitting
you.
in front of you.
Thank you.
And you're looking all gorgeous and stuff. So listen, I got a whole bunch of questions.
Okay.
See, I got my cards.
Ooh, let me set up
So,
straight.
you know, I do a lot of talking for my own profession, but I just want to make sure I don't miss the tea for the people.
Y'all better tune in.
So we're going to start real slow, and then we're going to spice this thing up.
Okay, let's do it, baby.
So let's talk about social media. You always on social media with your reels and things. And then, look, you a Jane of all trades.
Yes, I try to be.
Okay, so but speaking of social media, one thing we always see on the Shade Room is people's relationships.
Yeah, of course.
So tell me, what is your favorite thing, your favorite trend right now with relationships, and your not so favorite trend in relationships? And that could, let me expand on that a little bit, because that could look like you got Kim and Kanye in there, all their mess. But then you also have a lot of like black men and black women showing each other love and things like that. So what is your favorite trend that's happening, and what's your not so favorite?
I think I'm gonna start my not so favorite, and a lot of people. I hope I don't become this person one day. We come back to like season 10, and then like Shaanah, on the finale of season 4, you said you like hated this.
At least people can hold your camera.
Right.
So we gonna have something to come back to.
When I'm archiving this, I don't know why. But when it comes to like some Instagram couples, I feel like sometimes people try too hard. Like, it has to be organic. I think it really has to be where both parties are on board with it. I think because I do so much content, I can look at something and kind of tell when one person's into it more than the other. Or like when they share like intimate moments, like you have people, I don't know, like I think I saw somebody in the car and I probably was just annoyed with it because Instagram couples annoy me, but she had like her foot in his lap while he was driving, which isn't safe. And she was like filming it, and I was like, if that's an intimate moment, like let that just be for y'all, like, you know. So Instagram couples that try too hard. I probably got a couple that I like. I can't name any by name, but when you try too hard, y'all don't be cheesy. And if I become that person and I become cheesy, like y'all let me know.
Yeah, I can relate to that too, because I was thinking the other day about aesthetics. Like there are a lot of couples that are together just because y'all look good.
Yes, just because
some of y'all don't even look that good. It's like you get. It's everything is for aesthetics, for the look of things. Yeah,
and it's not gonna last that way.
Yeah, right.
So the other favorite thing I love when it comes to couples is I'm fully aware that we are always on the outside looking in when it comes to relationships. But I love seeing certain couples that, you know, put it this way. I'm a good reader of energy in person and on camera. So I can kind of look at couples and tell like, that's not gonna work. They're not gonna be together that long. So like, we're gonna get to that later. It's certain things I can tell, but certain things I can look at and it seems like you really are like happy in your relationship. So I like seeing that. Like for instance, it's two different contrasts. So Tamia, the singer, one of my favorite, Grant Hill. Y'all ain't been together like 20 plus years. Yeah. But the thing is, you can tell like they still like each other, but when they're around each other, they so comfortable. It's like, to me, it'll be like, yeah, I'll be with this nigga forever. Like, you know, like you can tell they just real regular in their relationship. Like, I'm not here trying to put on no frills, nothing. You see how we sitting apart, they do interviews like this, how they be sitting, like, yeah, I love him. I ain't gotta be all up under him. So
and they're very private too.
Yeah, they are, and I can appreciate that. So I love when they do share online. You know, I can tell it's like something genuine and long lasting there. I don't, you know, if knock on wood, if I wake up tomorrow and they like we get a divorce, I'm like, no, like I never saw it, you know. But so I like them, and then I like Sierra and Russell Wilson. I think a lot of people like them. I think, you know, I'm not always a fan of people being loved out loud in the wrong way because I don't think it always shows up in a genuine way sometimes. But I think the way their love appears, it does appear that they really love and like each other. And I love how they work in business together. And I've always been a Sierra fan, so I think it was just easier for me to be like, I'm happy that she's in love and has somebody who loves her. And the other trend, so my trend I like is like healthy couples. And I love Tia Mowry with Hardy and Corey Hardy. And I fell in love with them even more because they did an episode of Black Love, the docuseries. And Tia was doing something. And he was like, yeah, babe, you was a little musty. And I was like,
that is loyalty.
But it was like, if you have seen him on her shows, like his personality, he just real chill. Like he said without a flinch, like it wasn't no problem, but yeah, you was musty. Like, and that just cracked me up. So just like, I love her laugh too. So it was just like them, that whole little thing, their dynamic. So cheesy couples doing like too much, I'm not a fan of, but for like healthy and happy, what looks to be healthy relationships in love, I love seeing that. And I love from regular people too, not just from celebrities.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay, let's get to this next question. So let's play a little game here. So I know you like to do icebreakers and things.
I do.
So we gonna do Would You Rather.
Okay, I love a good Would You Rather.
All right, so I got a couple of them. One of them is my favorite, so I'm trying to think, do I want to start with that one first? Because I'm really intrigued to see what you're going to say with this one. But, so the first one is, would you rather be in a bad relationship for the rest of your life or have no significant other for the rest of your life?
Who made these damn questions?
Google.
Would I rather be in a bad relationship for the rest of my life or have no significant other?
Be single for the rest of your life.
I would be single.
Okay.
Because I'm a firm believer that, you can have happiness with a partner, but you can also have happiness with being single. And I've been in a bad relationship long enough to know that I do not want that shit forever.
Yeah, it drains too much of your energy.
Yeah. So, single for the rest of my life.
That's a good answer. Okay. Would you rather go on vacation with other couples or only with your significant other? Excuse me.
That's a good question because I'm learning balance. I'm gonna say only with my significant other.
Okay, close on.
Cause I think with other couples, like if you are my significant other, like I know how you move. I know how the vacation gonna go.
Right.
And when you say other couples, I imagine like it might be a variety or different couples to bring around. That's a tough one because I like people.
Yeah.
But
I
like people. But I think if I had to rely on something like for the rest of my life, because people change and my partner would change too. But I think that would be the more steady thing, the more reliable thing. So I'm gonna stick with the significant other.
And you know what comes in my mind too? Our favorite show,
what?
Love Marriage. And so if you think about going on a couple trip with those couples, they will ruin your fun.
Yeah, and that's what I don't want.
Yeah, and you don't got time for that. So I think I would do the same way of like, let me do my vacation with my bae and you going back to
let me stick to what I know.
But fun vacations with fun couples, and keep your drama in the bedroom, but don't bring it out. Keep your energy
to the common area. Yeah.
Good answer. You're doing good, friend. Okay, so this is my favorite one.
Okay.
So would you rather cheat or get cheated on? I'm curious to know. Be careful, tread lightly.
I would rather get cheated on.
Okay.
Because I'm not a good liar. That's why I don't lie. Like I feel convicted. Like my karma is so real. Like if I do something crazy to somebody, like 5 minutes later, I'm gonna walk outside, fall and chip my tooth. Like that's the kind of how my karma shows up real quick. So, and I'm at a bed where like I just would feel bad if I was cheated. So like cheat on me so God can get that karma to you.
That's a good I like that. I was like, how is my friend gonna answer this question? That's a really, really good one. All right, one for the road and then we gonna get a little bit deeper, okay? Give the people what they want. So, would you rather end the argument unresolved or argue all day to resolve the conflict?
End the argument unresolved. We're gonna argue all day.
Yeah.
I am not an argumentative person. I try not to be in relationship with people that are. We gonna end it unresolved and come back to it. And if we can't come back to it, I'll find my own closure.
Yeah.
But I ain't arguing with nobody.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that because I'm a therapist, and so I think a lot of couples think that we have to resolve it right then and there. So I told you I can drop in jail. No, go to bed, man. It's okay. It's absolutely okay. All right.
Roll my eyes real hard.
I will pause a bit to give you a chance to get ready.
Breathe.
All right, so this question, so the title of your podcast is To Be Single or Not to Be.
This is true.
So the people would like to know, are you on the single side or the not to be side?
Am I on the single side or the not to be?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is the Adele One Night Only Oprah, the tell-all. I am on the not to be single side. The big reveal. What you niggas been wanting to know?
Because you out here shining, love, and we see you. So
how I move is very intentional.
Okay, I love it. Okay, so let's dig a little bit. Tell us about your bae.
So,
let me expand on that a little bit more.
Yeah, because
how does he make you feel? Do you feel secure in your relationship?
I shouldn't have said that didn't sound good going into that. But what I'll say is something that I think is super important that I feel in my relationship, and I think more people should aim for, is to feel safe. Mm-hmm. You want to feel safe in a relationship.
Absolutely.
And one of my friends told me she had read somewhere that was like the number one compliment that you could give your partner, especially a man, that you feel safe. Like, I always feel very secure. I don't have to worry about much. I know that whatever I need, whatever support looks like, whatever I ask for, I was going to say, even if it's not too crazy, even if it's crazy, that needs are going to be met. So he makes me feel very safe, very secure, very loved, and very, like, supported, and he is a big picture thinker. People know, like, I plan out content, for weeks or months. I plan out my life for weeks or months. But when it comes to, like, stuff in relationships, I'm like, I want to talk about what we got going on Monday through Friday. Like, don't make me think beyond this, So he's a person that, and I'm just now kind of, I would say recently, catching up to his thought process. As to some things he'll say, and, like, internally, I'm sitting there thinking, like, what is he talking about? Like, why are you thinking about stuff 2 years from now? And then something will happen. I'm like, let's see what he was talking about,
So you're learning from him too.
I am learning. Absolutely, I learned. So all those things, safe, love, supported, secure. I always say never say never. But it's a lot of things I just don't think he would ever do to me. I think that he's a person that he would just be like, I'm just gonna bow out before I do those things, and that's something that more people should do.
Absolutely.
Break up. So yeah,
I was gonna say I keep that to myself. I can definitely advocate.
Yeah.
Like, that's absolutely true, and it's absolutely beautiful, and I get to witness that too. And so it is a beautiful relationship, and I'm very, very happy for you.
Thank you.
So tell us how this relationship differs from the other relationships that you've been in.
How long is this interview? How much time we got to talk about this?
Give us a quick synopsis of it.
Differs is, it is polar opposite of the situationships. I was about to say another thing, of the situations that I've been in before. I think prior to this one, I've had maybe one relationship that was healthy, and it ended because it was supposed to. But it differs just in how this person shows up. I literally was telling my makeup artist today, I was like, I've had situations, say I got to my makeup artist appointment and I was like, damn, I left my wallet at home. I done had Negroes I call like, can you go pick my wallet? They on the phone. How you forget your wallet? Why you just not remembering? Why you just not calling me? Nigga, I just realized I left the ticket. Just go get what I asked you to get and bring it.
That's all I need.
They gonna just blow your brains out. So being with someone, the difference is, if I call him, it's not, the only question is, where is the wallet? Let me go get it and bring it to you. I don't know. He probably is internally rolling his eyes. But yeah. But I don't see it. I don't feel it. I don't deal with that, So the difference is like the support of exactly what you need. Being able to say, like, these are the 5 qualities I'm looking for in said relationship. And if that person says, hey, I can meet those qualities, and they aren't lying, and then they actually show you with their actions. So I always mess with him and say, like, all words matter with your ass because don't say something that don't mean it. So, but he's going to hold me accountable, but it's because he does the same thing for himself. So
that's good.
Yeah, so that's the difference. He's like, I'm never going to ask you to do nothing. Like, even when, I think crazy sometimes. I'm like, what would you think if I did so-and-so? And the first thing he'll say, like, what would you think if I did? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I won't do that shit. I'm like, so makes things very plain and simple, for me to see. But yeah, just the support, how he shows up, how the actions match the words. And it also holds me accountable in a way because there were certain times that, whether it be a situation, most situationships don't start out bad. They start out good, Even the first month, it's like a whole lot of fun. And then you start seeing who the nigga really is, And so with this, it was like, I thought I was getting like an A+ in the class of like relationships, situationships. And I got with him, and they say like a real partner will make you see like a mirror of yourself. Yeah. And I'm like, girl, you are failing. Like, like you got a C-, bitch. Like, you thought that you had an A+ in class, you did not. So, and it was not brought to me in like a negative way, but it was just like through a realization of events and things happening. I'm like, I do need to work on that stuff. So yeah, that's the difference. It's just like people showing up, doing exactly what they say they're gonna do. Actions matching the words, and then holding me accountable in another way, because I think another part of that is when you are, and I'm sure you can relate to this, when you are like a high achiever in life, you're used to just like doing well at everything. I do well at work, I did well in school, I do well pretty much in life. But when you have like an issue with like a relationship or something you would consider small, it's like, why can't I get this right? And so that was the thing of me finally being in the space with somebody to realize, like, yeah, you got something to work on, but we gonna figure it out together.
You know what? And so I'm gonna have to, because you're gonna maybe lead into another question. I wasn't ready to ask that one. My bad. But no, you know what? And so you bring a lot of therapists on your show. And I'm a therapist that's been on the show. And so a topic that comes up a lot is like your inner child. Because your childhood relationships definitely impact your adult relationships. And we don't, a lot of people don't want to believe that, but your parents are your first teacher. So whatever your dynamic with them is, it's going to flow in all your relationships.
Absolutely.
So tell me about your inner child experience and how that's impacted your relationships, our relationships, your previous ones, in a good way and a not so good way.
Well, I think in a not so good way would be, I didn't have my dad wasn't present. I had so I'll talk like good and bad as I go through this. So my father wasn't present. I moved from Chicago when I was almost 5 years old. That's where I'm from originally, Chicago, Illinois. And my dad wasn't present, but I was raised by my grandparents. So I had my grandmother and grandfather. So I still had a father figure in the home. So from that, but growing up with not having my dad present, and then just growing up in a household, and I talk about this a lot on the show, like no one ever, when I think back over my life, no one ever sat down from childhood to adulthood and talk to me about relationships, talk to me about love, talk to me about non-romantic relationships, friendships, like all those things that you need to curate a healthy and happy relationship. No one ever like sat me down and talk about that. And then also, I went through some of my own trauma with things that I saw growing up in my household. It was a range of things, from addictions to abuse to different things like that. So I wouldn't say that what I saw was longevity in my grandparents, because they were together for a very long time. But outside of that, and I do feel like, to be clear, it was love there. I do know that my grandparents, love me. I know that my mom loves me. But it was like, the outward display of that so much, it showed up in like we were well taken care of. But when it came to like how you romantically handle someone, how you navigate, with these little teenage boys, all that good stuff, nobody ever talked to me about that. And so I think, not having those conversations, not really seeing it up close and personal, I think the reason I had so many unsuccessful relationships was, and I want to give this caveat if I'm using that properly, I'm never a fan of when people tell me, I don't know if I could ever have a healthy marriage because I never seen one. I don't believe that's true.
It's not.
I don't have a millionaire in my family, but I'm going to be one. So
speaking into the atmosphere,
yeah.
I just received that.
Yes.
I just felt that
yes, you felt it. So I'm like, I don't feel like just because you haven't seen something firsthand to touch it, feel it, that it cannot happen. Because I feel like like I said, I saw a marriage that was successful in regards to longevity. But also, I know what a healthy, happy relationship looks like. Like, if I want to pull from celebrities or people that I may know intimately to say, okay, this is what success looks like. So, I said all that to say, it wasn't that I had, those examples growing up, but I always felt like it could be attained as I got older. But, that inner child just, she wasn't, where I was going with that earlier was, because I feel I wasn't really taught it, the same way that we were taught education in my household. You go to school, you go to college. I wasn't taught it. I ran into a lot of unhealthy relationships because I'm encountering things that this is my first time going through this. I didn't know that, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be saying this. I shouldn't be letting the person treat me like this. Like, I know what respect looks like in an overall general place, but you tend to think when you haven't been taught about some things that when I show up in these spaces, in order to keep this man, I got to just let him do whatever he want to do because I don't want to scare him off. Yeah. I don't want to say anything that's going to shake the table. And so, not being taught those things, that would definitely be the inner child work that was not done, that caused me, that aided in some of it, some of my unhealthy relationships. But on the other side of it, I do think that, I had enough love given to me to know that real love does exist. I had enough education and I would say privilege in some areas to see certain things, be exposed to certain things, and enough intelligence instilled in me to, as I went through this process, to learn like, okay, this ain't normal. I'm doing this, I'm going through this, but this is not the norm. Like, I don't like the way this feels. So I had enough emotional intelligence to be like, I don't like the way this person treated me. And even though I never seen someone say necessarily treat someone exactly as you should be treated, I know that this ain't right. Yeah. So both of those things really aided me in, understanding that XYZ on this side does not, I didn't learn this, but on the other side, girl, you smart enough. Yeah. Girl, you doing a good job. You smart enough to know that you gotta get up out of here.
Yeah, just a little common sense.
Yeah, go a long way. Yeah. And I think throughout these different unhealthy relationships, like the common sense in the back of my mind, and the common sense in intuition, because people used to always say, you feel in your gut, and I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And then I got to a place, I think right before I started the podcast, where that intuition like kicked in. I'm like, that's what that is. And I was able to tap into it. So listeners, viewers, a lot of times that ain't the butterflies, that's anxiety and your intuition telling you to get the hell out.
Yeah. And I think so many of us experience not being able to trust ourselves.
Yeah.
And because we get in failed relationship after failed relationship after failed relationship, and we feel like we're trusting our gut, and then everything goes the opposite. So when our gut is speaking to us again, we're like, is this right? Is this really real? Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about how you have learned to trust yourself in your present relationship.
I have learned to trust myself in my present relationship. One, because my partner makes that very easy. He's a person that shows up and we're able to have really good communication. We can talk about anything from a non-judgmental perspective, from an honest perspective to say, this is what's happening. This is what I do like or what I don't like. And just me knowing what is right and what is true and being very focused and intentional about what I want from my relationship. So if I know I want it to be happy, if I know I want it to be healthy, if I know I want us to grow more, if I know I want us to build more, I can trust myself in those things because I know what wrong looks like, and I know what right feels like, and I know that I'm with the person that I can absolutely trust, entrust with these things, and we can move forward with it. Because I think a lot of times people struggle with trust because you're with somebody that does not make you feel safe, and you cannot trust them. So then you on edge, you got insecurities, you got anxiety, you worried all the time. It's hard to build trust with that recipe. Right. So when you have somebody that makes you feel safe, that shows up, does the job, you all are able to do the work together, it makes it very easy to trust. And I know that he helps me a lot in being able to trust myself, because I think even though I know perfectionism isn't real, sometimes I just want to get things so right that I used to have working. I've come a long way used to have a habit of like beating myself up about things, like feeling mad if I didn't do something right or something didn't look right. You know, he was always like, I don't want you talking to yourself like that. Like, you shouldn't feel that way about yourself. And so sometimes when I may be about to slip back into one of those habits, I just think about that, like, you know, I have no reason to feel this way because I remember words that he said to me. So the trust just makes it a lot easier.
That's so beautiful. I remember the words that he says to me.
Yes,
Yes, I love that. Okay, let's see what we got. So, let me ask you this, because we talked a lot about, when we think about relationships, we often make it one-sided. We make it all about us, how we receiving things, what they do for me. Yeah. Can they do this? Can they do that? Let me ask you this. Do you think that you're a good partner?
I think, can I give a scale? Yeah.
Do you give me scales? I love giving scales. I do that.
Yeah, give me a scale. Give me a scale.
Okay, I'm going to do a small scale.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 5, do you think that you show up in your relationship in a healthy way, not a perfect way, a healthy way, to be a good supportive partner to your current significant other?
Yes. 1 being bad, 5 being good.
Yes, 1 being bad, 5 being you're excellent. You that bitch.
In all honesty, Black folks like honesty, I would say I'm like a 3.9.
Okay, so let's
I would be honest about it because every day I learn something new. Every day I feel like with him, I have these awakenings. Every day, like, it wasn't long ago I realized, you know, like, if you follow me or know, I like to travel a lot. I got a lot of friends. I'm a very sociable person. And I've been single for a really long time. Like, before now, I've been single for over 5 years. And so you get in the habit of things, like, say you see a concert on TV, you like, Courtney up, see if she runs to the concert, you know. And I had to realize, like, girl, when you want to do something, you should first see if your partner wants to do it. Now, some things are like ladies on there. Absolutely. But when you are trying to travel, when you're trying to build things, a number of things, like, you want to check in with your partner first. Your partner should be like, oh yeah, babe, I'm going to Africa on Friday. I can tell you. So it was.
I'll see you when I get back.
Right. So, but he would be understanding. But I probably would get a speech. You know, like say President Obama, State of the Union. We gotta have a conversation. I'm like, oh God,
He gonna let you go have your fun, but when you get back,
he's definitely gonna do that. He's definitely gonna let me have my fun and FaceTime me with a smile on his face and with words in his heart. When I get back,
you better be ready.
He got some shit to say.
You better come in the house.
Understandably so. But I say 3.9 because I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I told you, like, at the start of this relationship, I had like a C in class. Man, if we had to do another rating, I think like I got like an A- now. Okay, you know, so I've come a long way.
Growth.
I don't know if he would say this. But
this ain't about
right, this is my interview. But in all, being seriously, I think a 3.9 because I'm growing and I'm learning, and it's always areas of opportunity to do better. And it's not one of those things where people just pick a 9 because there's always room for progress. Right. No, really. It is a lot. Like, I think about if we're going to be together forever, we have a lot of learning and growing and loving to do together. I feel like, you know, we have not even scratched the deep surface of what we have to learn and uncover about one another and what I'm learning about myself. You know, I got back. Well, before we got together, I had got back into therapy and just doing my own self-work and energy work and healing and all these things. Because I really just had to, like, detox all them other niggas out of me, you know, so get them off my skin. Get them off me. Good cleanse. So I think going through all of those things got me to the space now where it's like I've learned a lot. I'm still growing a lot. And I still got a lot of work to do in a good way. You know, I want to, like, sometimes people say, I got a lot of work to do. That's a bad thing. It's not in this case, not at all.
No, it's not.
So 3.9 right now.
And to speak to that a little bit, because one thing in life that's constant is change. You're constantly changing. So you should never get comfortable with not learning and not growing. If you're not growing and you're not learning, then you're getting
What are you doing?
And what are you doing? You're missing out on life. So Tell me, how do you handle your insecurities and uncertainties in your relationship? Because we're not perfect, so we all have insecurities. So how do you handle your insecurities and your uncertainties?
So, are you referring to like insecurities or uncertainties I just have around my relationship or love, or?
I'm speaking directly to your relationship right now.
Okay.
So when you are, because we have moments of like when we feel if that our partner may not do anything that's making us feel.
Well,
insecure.
I got you. Let me.
Okay.
Let me say this. I really do not feel insecure in my relationship at all.
I almost threw these cards out my head.
I
forgot
I was on show a little bit. Girl, tell me how.
I don't. I really
that.
like 0%. Like, again, I was about to say his name. I would say, Negro, don't you listen to this. And we walk around this bitch with a trumpet. Like, I know I'm the man.
Party just for that. Because how many men can actually say that?
No, I just think that I don't think I know. Like, I don't feel insecure about anything with him. Like, because of how safe of a space that he creates. Like, the love that he gives, how he shows up, how he supports, what I need, what I want, what I desire, how I want to grow. Like, if you think about every category, you think about like mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, occupationally, financially, categorize things. I'm safe in all those areas. Now, that does not mean that things are perfect. That does not mean there's not room for improvement. That does not mean, let's be clear, that he does not make mistakes.
Right.
But when it comes to insecurities or uncertainty, I don't feel insecure about nothing. Like, I really, because the thing is, I've sat in the seat of insecurity so many times. So I know exactly what that feels like. I know exactly what that anxiety feels like, what that worry feels like. I done had a nigga have my hair falling out before. I've been through a lot unnecessarily. Like I always say, some of it, on me. So when you really deeply know what wrong feels like, when you get to right, then it's like not hard to navigate that at all. So that's an area that I don't suffer in. Now, don't you do nothing to make me change my appeal tomorrow.
Don't change this up.
Right, friend. Because I know friend. Right. You cannot mess up. Okay, so, and I don't think he will. Like, honestly, he's such a genuine guy. And he's so nice and he's so welcoming. Yeah. Like, when I met him, I was like, is this nigga my friend? I was like, well, did I just meet you? Did I just meet you before? I have not known you forever. So warm. Like, just so warm and inviting, and he does treat you very well, and I love that for you.
Thank you.
And so, a question that comes to my mind right now is, what would you title this chapter or this season of your life?
That is a great question. What would I title this chapter or season of my life? Consistency.
Oh, to mine.
And I want to say consistency because I just find it like who sang the song Devotion? True Devotion. Who was that?
Give me some more words.
Is that Earth, Wind & Fire?
Girl, you don't want over my head.
No,
I don't think
I might be singing it wrong. Anywho, I think that song, they have a live version. And when the song first comes on, it just always rings in my head. He says, anything you want to do in this life, you can do it with devotion. And devotion to me means being devoted to a task or a relationship or whatever, and you have to consistently show up for that. So as I always preach, if you're going to clock in for a job, make sure you're clocking in for a job that you like. So I wake up every single day to do the work of what it takes to have a successful relationship. And that work is a lot easier when you got somebody who actually like you, as we always say. And it's a lot easier when you have somebody who's also clocking in to do the work of the relationship. So for me, it's consistency because just in regards to my relationship, the work that I'm trying to consistently do for us to build, grow, and love, and the work that I'm consistently doing just in my personal life, with my brand, with the podcast, just across the board. It's like one thing at a time. Consistently do that one thing at a time, and you will see proven results. And, we are halfway through the year at this point, and I've definitely seen those proven results from consistency. So right now, this chapter 2022, this space I'm in, it may even carry over, because I hope to learn this consistency to be rooted in me, to keep going. That's exactly where I am.
Yeah, I love that for you. Tell people how they can clock in and be consistent every day? Or how do you show up for your relationship every day?
You show up and how you clock in for your relationship every day is really simple. One, take your time with finding a partner so that you have somebody that you're on one accord with. Because a lot of times, if you wake up and you got energy for a person, you excited to talk to them, you texting them, whatever, and you getting a dry ass good morning or good night, or you hear from them once a day, they ain't really got much to say to you. Y'all ain't on one accord, so it's gonna be hard. And it's gonna be a person you in a whole relationship with. Because we all know people like that.
Yeah,
so that's one thing. Take your time with getting into a relationship so you know the person. And I had a whole Instagram debate with some people online when I posted this reel that if a person asked me to be their boyfriend after 3 months, I said the answer would be hell no. Because I was like, I don't know you.
I don't know you.
I don't know you.
Don't know me.
And of course it was me and all in the comments. I do know you. We've been with.
No.
Whatever. Okay. And for the perfect people, turn your ears off. This for people that ain't perfect. You know. So I feel like take your time with getting to know a person so you kind of know who you're dealing with, because a lot of times we set ourselves up for heartbreak and for issues when we get into a relationship with people that we don't know, we don't understand, and we don't have the same ideals and desires. If you get past that point where you know the person and y'all go through whatever and y'all decide that y'all want to be in a relationship, you really do need to do what I like to call relationship check-ins on a regular basis. You know, that may be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, but you really need to be coming up with a plan as to what are we doing, especially if you're at the big old age of over 30. Like, what we no longer can feel like, you know,
that's not sweating a little bit.
We no longer can be in a space of like, we just gonna hang out a little bit. We just gonna go on a little date and we just gonna, you know, see what happens. Nah, my basketball coaches always say, don't be out there hoping the ball gonna go in. No, it's gonna go in. Right. So don't be out there hoping that your relationship gonna work out. Know that it's gonna work out. So I think, you know, finding the right person to shorten up, finding the right person, checking in often in some of those areas that I listed earlier that work for me and my partner, and then just making sure that you and your partner stay on one accord through constant and consistent communication and work. Because the many times we see relationships where one person has clocked out and the other has not, and it may be something where you can clock back into the relationship, or it may be something where you really have to just understand that you and I are not anymore, and it's time to break up. Because I'm team break up if it ain't working no more.
I'm team break up too.
Yeah, if it ain't working, it's team break up.
This ain't a good fit. It's time to move on.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's beautiful. And I also like the fact, as you said, you know, you're getting to know your partner, take your time, but you're also getting to know yourself, especially if you have come from unhealthy relationship patterns. So you're also relearning yourself. So take your time. Good things take time. So tell me a little bit about boundaries and deal breakers in relationships. Is that important to have? And if so, what are your boundaries and deal breakers in your relationship?
So I think people need more of boundaries and deal breakers in their relationships. I think because, like I always say, women, we like to nurture a man to death, to the point where, like, we compromise on things that we don't want to compromise on and we shouldn't compromise on in fear of like losing him or upsetting him or the relationship ending. And I always say, if your fear of communicating about an issue is causing you to think the relationship is going to end, it probably needs to end, because you don't want to be with a person that you can't properly communicate with. So boundaries and deal breakers are essential, because you have to have a bottom line of like, this is what I won't tolerate, this is what won't work. These are the things you bet not cross this line, because if you don't have those things, you know, people can trigger you unknowingly or intentionally, because I done dealt with that too. Yeah. There was somebody that would intentionally trigger me. I should go fight that nigga right now, but I like to fight. So I think it's essential that people have those in place. And for me, I would say go back to old school, write it down and make it plain, or go to your phone notes and write it down. Like, literally make a list. These are my deal breakers. And I want you to seriously think about, you know, it's not about saying desirables, because I like to put that category out there too. We all have things we desire. Like, you probably desire a man that's 6'5", but if you get one that's 6 foot, like, that ain't no deal breaker. You know, I just desire that. Or you preferences, more so.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to like deal breakers, those are like the bottom line things. So like, I did an episode recently on creating your own love language. And I said that one of mine was, you know, you gotta have some money. No, so I literally said that a deal breaker for me, like, you have to be financially secure. And I don't mean like have a whole bunch of money to give me your money. But I mean, like, do you take care of your bills? Is your housing in jeopardy because you haven't paid your mortgage? Are you financially responsible? Where I know if you're leading this household, I don't have to worry about you taking the mortgage to go gamble with it. So I mean financial security and safety in that sense of like, how you handle our money.
Yeah.
That's like a deal breaker. If I can't trust that you gonna go spend our money on some drugs, like I don't know what you doing.
Right.
You know, you got secret addictions. I think another deal breaker for me is like a person that cannot communicate. They allegedly, it's only 30% of the population that's emotionally intelligent and that's self-aware. And I think both of those are required to be a good communicator.
Right.
So I'm not Rain Man. I'm not gonna try to read your mind. I'm not gonna not say I'm not gonna not say what I want to say because in fear of what you got going on. I'm not about to this book, Men are from Mars, Women Are from Venus. They got this thing where they say men, when they going through stuff, let them go into their little cave and stay there for as long as they want, and then the rubber band effect, they're gonna come back out and you should be ready and wait. I don't know who the fuck wrote that book, but I'm not sitting over. So you get to be mad for a week, and then when you come back out, I gotta just welcome you with a sweet potato pie, like ain't nothing happened.
Be mad, but talk about it. Open your mouth. Use the words.
So communication, like we're not. And I know people that have gone through things where men like ice them out, and women too. I'm not gonna put it all on men where they ice them out. No, you gotta communicate. So the financial security, the communication, and then doing exactly what you say you are going to do, because we are too grown for you to be lying to me about anything. Because anything I'm asking you to do, and this is beyond finances, and a lot of times people's mind just tend to jump right to that. If anything I'm asking you to do for me, I would do it for you, or I can do it for myself. So let's hold each other equally accountable. And then I would say one of the larger things is like no self-awareness. Like you're doing things to me, or you're intentionally hurting me, or unintentionally not showing up in a space how you said you would. And then it's like it's like gaslighting. And then you acting like I'm the problem.
Right.
Like fuck out of here. Like what how does that work? So yeah, those are my biggest things, and it's so many boundaries, you know. You just can't be a habitual line stepper. R.I.P. Charlie Murphy, where you constantly crossing lines. Like it's a line in the sand for a reason. Don't cross it. But again, if you partner with the right, if y'all take your time.
Let me ask you this: how many boundaries can people cross before it's you're out of here?
One month.
And we
baseball.
about this all the
yes,
time.
it is not baseball. I'm not Sammy Sosa.
You're not giving no second chances.
No, I'm bullshit. It depends.
It depends.
Because I posted like not long ago. I don't know who told y'all that second chances was a requirement, because it's not. In a lot of things, like a person literally can fuck up, and you could be like, "This is it," like Michael Jackson. Oh, finito. So I'm not gonna say this is it like Michael Jackson. Now the reason I have to extend grace is because that 3.9 I talked about. So I don't always get it right, and you know, you're dealing with a person that like wants you to show up in spaces as he does. Like, what's that about? I gotta do a good job as you do it, you know. Right. So that's the thing. I extend grace, but I just think it's situational to say if you have done said thing, you know, like if you cheat, it's over. Go be with that bitch, you know. So, but it's other things that I could probably we could work through. But yeah, that's and you got. I guess that is a deal breaker. Cheating. What you cheating on me for? Look at me.
Look at you. Look at you.
So it's like you gotta have certain things, and people, you know, I'm not an emotional rehabilitation center for anybody.
Come on.
So
you make me want to throw these cards.
Yeah, so
where's my tambourine
when you need it?
Because I got a shout in my spirit.
See, I'm just not here to for you know, because I saw it was a video recently. This girl, he had cheated numerous times, and she was like, you know, who was to say he's a bad man? You know, I want to give him a second chance and show he can do better. Let him do it with somebody else.
Yeah,
I ain't saying you're a bad man either.
Yeah.
Cheating don't make you a bad person. Anything you do wrong doesn't make you necessarily a bad person, but you're not gonna be with me.
Yeah, and I gotta throw that's emotionally abusive behavior. Okay, that is emotionally abusive behavior. Do not let people continuously cheat on you over and over.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear. So yeah, those are some of my. That's the short list.
Yeah, how long you have to be here for the long one?
Ooh, baby.
Okay, so I cannot. Okay, so this is a conversation that we have often, and this is one of my favorite questions that I want to ask you right now. Tell me a little bit about how you have had, or if you had any struggles with yourself and showing up as yourself and being yourself in your current romantic relationship. So,
is this close to the end of this? So what I'll say is
You
this.
just said we're gonna be here.
Right. Right.
Did I get to know? Because that's what you just said.
So the thing is, I definitely, prior to this relationship, I had dealt with a lot of men that I would get with, and they would say like, "You too loud. You do too much. You show up. You know, you show up. You basically like you do too much in so many capacities." And it had literally like groomed me in a way to think that there was regular Shaanah and there was relationship Shaanah. And relationship Shaanah had to show up as this meek and mild person that didn't talk loud, that didn't celebrate, that didn't, the same way I show up for my friends and family. If anything they need, they can call, I'm there if I can do it.
Right.
I got to this place of where I had kind of been groomed to just be this smaller version of myself that I got to my current relationship. And this man said, hey, I don't want you to show up as that loud and boisterous and productive and fun and all those great things that your friends and family see. He's like, I want exactly that. And I'm like, okay, that's easy. And then I wasn't doing it. I was still showing up as this small person. And I kept missing the mark with things early on in our relationship because I'm not being as supportive. I'm not showing up doing the things I would normally do. I'm not dancing on the table like I normally do, whatever it may be. But I wasn't doing it because in my mind, I had told myself that you cannot do those things in a relationship. And I had conformed due to bad habits, unhealthy habits. This is before my relationship awakening. And I just got into this place of thinking like the smaller version is who you show up as in relationships. And the real Shaanah is who you show up in your non-romantic relationships. And that was almost the detriment of my relationship. Because it's like, I kept feeling like this man, it got to the point where I kept feeling like he was asking me for something I couldn't give him. And he was literally asking me to just show up as myself.
Just be you.
Just be you.
Just be who
and
you
I'm
are.
like, you know, it got to a point of contingency with us where I'm just like, what more do you want from me? It's Tyreek's voice. I was exhausted. When I tell you, I was exhausted. And so finally, there was a life event that happened where I didn't show up initially as my normal self would, you know, say friends say you had something going on and something happened, same life event, you know, I'm showing up with bells and whistles. But with him, I didn't show up with bells and whistles because I thought you just sit over here in your little corner and you wait for instructions. And it's like, no, bitch, you know, that is absolutely not what you should be doing. That's not what you should be doing. So, you know, it's very unfortunate that life event happened. But, you know, on the other side of it came me having my aha moment and realize like, hey, this whole damn time, and it took even after that happened, several conversations with friends, therapists, family, with him, to get to that point of recognizing like, you literally just have to be yourself.
Just be who you are.
And then this switch went off and I realized it. And I was well after that. So it was like, literally, like once I realized that and was able to convey that to him in a way where he could understand it and he knew that I knew like I got it, then girl, it was smooth sailing after that.
And it's so beautiful, and I'm so glad that we talked about that and sharing this right now because I think a lot of people, when we're trained, there's so many rules. Don't do this, especially with women. Don't text first and don't call first. If I miss that nigga, I'm calling that nigga. And I don't care what anybody gotta say.
I had one man tell me like, you post your Instagram stories too much.
Who asked you to look?
Close your eyes.
Like why are you even right here right now? But I think that's so important, and so many people are looking for spaces where they can be themselves. But a lot of people don't know how to be themselves. So it sounds like you have a partner who is comfortable with who he is. So he can accept you for who you are.
Absolutely.
And that's absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely.
But so love yourself to your highest form and be yourself.
Say that to your highest form.
To your highest
If they want you to be yourself, be yourself. If they don't, fuck.
And the worst that can happen is that's not a good fit, but there's going to be somebody that's out there that's for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. That just spoke to my spirit.
Ooh,
Okay.
I'm glad to see you, girl.
So I'm having so much fun with you, Fred, and I'm so honored to be here and get to interview you. So I'm usually on that side. I'm
usually on that
right.
side.
I'm usually always getting interviewed. So this has been a beautiful moment. And I'm so grateful and I'm so proud of you and I'm so honored to be your friend in this space
Thank
with you. So let's drop some gems for the people. You done dropped a lot of them.
Yeah.
But let's just close it out. What is one thing that you want the people to know about healthy relationships?
I want people to know that you can have a healthy relationship if you make an intentional effort to do so. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen by chance. It's not going to happen with that nigga that don't like you. So, or that woman that don't like you.
Period.
But when it comes to healthy relationships, if you go listen to seasons 1 through all the way through this 1 through 4, apply what we're talking about. Recognize that you yourself check yourself before you wreck yourself. Recognize that I need to do some healing before I even try to get in a relationship. Then identify what exactly, write it down, make it plain. What exactly do I want? I don't care if it's 19 pages. Write down everything from the inside to the outside. Pray about it, get that part to God. And then go on about your journey of life, putting yourself in those spaces and places to meet said people. And then when you get together with a person, make sure that the work that you have done, that the person you are trying to connect with has done the same work that you're doing, and they are continuously working on it. I heard somebody say, I ain't gonna say who said this because this man's name is taboo, but he once said, and it's the only thing I could take from him. He said, if you meet a person, ask them like, what are they passionate about? And if they tell you nothing, run away real fast.
Run.
I met a nigga I was dealing with that said nothing when I asked him that. Because if you ain't passionate about nothing, you for damn sure ain't gonna be passionate about me.
Then you're not even passionate about yourself.
About yourself, and I'll leave y'all with that. So he said he ain't passionate about nothing, go the other way. And if he do say he is passionate about something, like Rod said on the first episode of this season, tell him to pull out his portfolio so you can see what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Pull out the portfolio.
And that goes back to getting to know people and taking your time.
Yeah. And seeing what they talking about. You like it? What you see? What does the diagram say?
Then words can be anything, but how do your actions and words align? How do they match up? We can keep going.
Receipts.
I just said that we was going to stop. We can keep going. That's really good. That's
really
good. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Congratulations. So
Thank
4 is
you.
I don't know if you know it's not. 4 is my favorite number.
Okay.
So we real blessed.
Yes, we are.
Real blessed. So happy season finale.
Thank you.
To be single or not to be.
We did it.
Season finale number 4.
Yes.
Number
See y'all
4.
back for season 5.
Yeah.
And what Oprah always do with her guests? The high five.
Over again. We did it, y'all.